A branch cracks behind you. Not close, not loud, just one small sound in the dark. And your body stops. Your foot hangs in the air for half a second. Your breathing becomes quiet. Your eyes stop looking at the path in front of you and start searching the edges. The trees feel closer now. The space behind you feels bigger now. And then comes the worst part. Nothing happens. No footsteps. No voice, no shape between the trees. Just silence. But the silence does not feel empty anymore. It feels like it is waiting with you. This is not really a video about fear of the dark. It is about something stranger. Why can one tiny sound make your body freeze before your mind understands anything? Why does a small crack in the woods, a creak in a hallway, or a scrape inside an abandoned building suddenly feel like evidence? And why is the moment after the sound sometimes more frightening than the sound itself? Because in the dark, your brain does not just hear a sound, it hears a possibility. And possibility is enough to stop you. In daylight, the world explains itself quickly. A branch breaks, you see the branch. A door moves, you see the door. A bird lands, you see the bird. A sound appears, your eyes check the source, and the nervous system relaxes. The sound becomes ordinary. But darkness breaks that process. The sound arrives, and the answer does not. You hear the crack, but you do not see what cracked. You hear the scrape, but you do not see what scraped. You hear something behind you, but the dark refuses to give it a shape, and the brain hates that. It hates unfinished information. It hates gaps. It hates not knowing whether something is close, moving, hiding, harmless, or watching. So before your conscious mind says, it was probably nothing, the older part of your body says something else. Stop. Listen. Do not move yet. Find the source. Wait for more information. That freeze is not weakness. It is a survival pause. A silent second where your body tries to understand the environment before it lets you continue. And the first thing your brain looks for is direction. Where did it come from? Behind you? Above you? Inside the trees? At the end of the corridor? From the room you just passed? Near the door? Once the sound has a direction, your brain begins building a story around it. Not a complete story, just the first line. Something moved. Something shifted. Something might be there. And that unfinished story is where the fear starts. Not from proof, from the missing explanation. The sound itself may be tiny, but the space around it becomes huge. Because your brain is not reacting only to what happened. It is reacting to everything that sound could become. Wind, wood, an animal, a person, a falling object, a second movement. Something closer than you thought. Something that noticed you before you noticed it. And then your brain waits for the second sound. Because the second sound changes everything. One crack can be random, but two cracks can become a pattern. A branch cracking once might be wind. A branch cracking twice might be footsteps. A floorboard creaking once might be old wood. A floorboard creaking again after you stop moving feels different. A rustle in the leaves might be nothing, but a rustle that stops when you stop makes the body listen harder. That is why the silence after the sound can feel worse than the sound. The silence becomes a question. Did it stop because it was nothing? Or did it stop because something heard you too? You may not believe that thought. You may even laugh at it later. But in the moment, your body does not care what you believe. It cares about what has not been explained yet. That is why a forest can change after one sound. The forest itself has not changed. The same trees are there, the same leaves, the same wind, the same ground under your feet. But your attention has changed. Now everything wants to be noticed. A branch looks like an arm. A shadow looks like a place something could hide. A gap between trees feels like an opening. A sound far away feels closer than it is. Your own jacket brushing your sleeve suddenly becomes part of the environment. Your own footsteps sound too loud. Your own breathing feels like something the dark could hear. Nothing supernatural has happened. Your brain has changed modes. It has moved from normal awareness into threat scanning. And threat scanning does something powerful. It makes ordinary space feel alive. Not because the space is alive, but because your attention is now treating it as unfinished. An unfinished space feels alive. This is why abandoned buildings feel even stronger. They are not just dark, they are broken maps. In a normal house, your brain knows what belongs. A chair belongs near a table. A bed belongs in a bedroom. A light belongs on the ceiling. A door opens into a room people use. But in an abandoned place, the rules are damaged. A chair sits alone in the wrong corner. A door hangs half open for no clear reason. Glass is scattered across the floor. A cable moves slightly in the wind. Water drips somewhere you cannot see. Rooms connect to other rooms that disappear into blackness. Your brain looks at all of it and asks, what belongs here? What moved? What was already broken? What changed after I entered? And then one sound happens. A scrape from another room. A tap from above. A slow creak from a doorway. A piece of metal shifting in the dark. And now the brain asks a colder question. Was that already happening before I noticed it? That is a different kind of fear, because now the sound feels like one tiny piece of a larger, hidden situation. Maybe the place was quiet, or maybe you just were not listening yet. Maybe nothing moved, or maybe something moved before you knew where to look. This is how fear expands, not through proof, through missing information. The brain is not only afraid of what it heard, it is afraid of everything it has not heard yet. And in a dark place, there is always more that has not been heard. That is why your body becomes careful. You step slower, you breathe quieter, you turn your head before turning your whole body. You keep your back away from open space. You look into corners longer than you need to. You avoid making noise. For a few seconds, you stop behaving like a modern person with explanations and start behaving like an animal inside a dark environment. That is not an insult. That is the truth of the body. Under language, phones, locks, maps, and logic, there is still a system that listens for survival. And that system is older than your house, older than your street, older than electricity, older than the idea that night should be safe. For early humans, darkness was not just the absence of light. Darkness was reduced information. The fire showed only a small circle. Beyond that circle, the world continued. Grass moved, branches shifted. Animals breathed, other humans walked. And your ancestors could not check every sound. They could not see through every shadow. They could not know whether the noise outside the shelter was wind, an animal, or a person. In that world, ignoring the wrong sound was expensive. So the nervous system learned a brutal rule. It is safer to react to a false alarm than to miss a real threat. Better to freeze for nothing than walk casually towards something real. Better to listen too hard than notice too late. That rule is still inside you. That is why a modern hallway can suddenly feel ancient at night. A narrow corridor is not just a corridor to the nervous system. It is a path with blind spots. A door behind you is not just a door. It is an opening. A dark room is not just a room. It is a space without enough information. A sound behind you is not just a sound. It is a signal your brain cannot finish. This is also why the body reacts before thought. You do not decide to tense your neck. It happens. You do not decide to hold your breath. It happens. You do not decide to turn your head. It happens. The body moves first because old survival systems are not waiting for a perfect explanation. They are buying time. 1 second, one pause, one still moment. Enough time to ask, was there another sound? Did it move? Is it close? Did it respond to me? Should I keep walking? Should I turn back? Should I turn on the light? And this is why light feels so powerful. Light does not change the sound. It changes the uncertainty. You shine your phone into the corner. It was only a branch. You step closer. It was only a loose board. You turn on the hallway light. It was only a pipe. You look into the abandoned room. It was only a hanging wire moving in the wind. The sound was real, but the mystery was gone. And once the mystery disappears, the body releases. Your chest softens, your neck loosens. The room becomes ordinary again. Not because you became braver, because your brain finally got what it wanted. Information, a source, a shape, an answer. That is the real secret. Your body did not freeze because it knew danger was there. It froze because it did not know safety was there. That difference matters. Fear is not always a reaction to what exists. Sometimes fear is a reaction to what has not been explained yet. A sound without a source, a movement without a shape, a hallway without a clear end, a forest without visible distance, a silence after the sound that feels too aware. And until the brain can close that gap, the body listens. It waits. It sharpens. It protects you before you fully understand why. So if you have ever walked through the woods at night and frozen at a tiny crack, if you have ever explored an old building and felt every creak in your bones, if you have ever sat alone in a dark room and turned your head because something moved somewhere outside the light, you are not being dramatic. You are feeling an ancient system doing its job. Because in daylight, one small sound is often just a sound. But in darkness, one small sound becomes a question. And deep inside the nervous system, an old rule still remains. Answer the question before you take another step.